I can't let this one go today. What happened in France? It's too poignant. I have to make a video on it. It completely supports several other philosophy videos I've done here in the Nutnfancy project. And I don't want this event to be forgotten. It should be a talking point for us for years to come. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably have missed the news. I'm sure at this point you've heard about it. 2 gunmen in France cut loose with AKs, going to a satirical newspaper called Charlie Hebdo, kill 12 people, injure a lot more. They basically have their way in the streets of France with 2 AKs. Yes, there were police officers there, and yes, they were killed. We'll talk about that. I don't really in this video want to concentrate on the politics of Islam and what the paper did, were they justified. A little bit, I'll talk about that. My focus is on what we've always talked about, and that is maintaining rule of law in our societies. And I'm a big proponent of rule of law. I'm sworn to uphold and defend the Constitution still. I love rule of law. I like peace. And in my other videos, I've always said what? That the ultimate guard for rule of law are the citizens. And some people have real issue with that. Oh, that's not true. The progressives really have issues with that. And I'm sorry, that's just what I'll call it. Actually, I'm not sorry, because I think it's accurate. The progressives don't believe that. And I don't know if that's the best term for it. I'll just use it here. But it's people who think that the government is ultimately in charge, the individual is lessened, and you should put full trust in the government. So throw whatever term you want on that. And it plays in this situation. And what they say is, no, civilians do not need to be armed. Police will protect you. By you being armed, it creates more problems for society than it solves. Does that sound familiar? King Obama and company have touted that for a long time. That, hey, dude, if you own a gun, you're much more likely to have it used against you. It could be stolen. Then we have a bunch of guns circulating in society that aren't registered to anyone. Then we'll have more crime. We'll have more mass shootings. These are all the lies put forth by the protectionists. Maybe that's the best term in this situation. And they do not like civilians being armed. So how is that disarmament thing going for you in France? Now, let's be honest. And I love really get my facts as straight as I can in these videos. But it's time critical. Maybe some facts change. Numbers change. But as I know it, France does allow gun ownership. You have tiers of registration like B1, B2, B3, B4. They have some magazine issues. You can't own more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition at the house. There is gun ownership in France. But I'm pretty sure that they do not allow, and I'm being kind of satirical myself here, for you to carry your Glock 19 in the streets of Paris. I'm pretty sure they don't allow that, except for law enforcement folks. So they have no concealed carry program, and I'm pretty sure you cannot own an AR-15 style of gun, or an AK semi-automatic with a standard capacity magazine. And in my estimation, if you're in a locale, a state, a country where you cannot own unfettered, unregistered, an AR-15 with a 30-round mag, you have some gun control problems. But we can't trust the civilians with that. You know, we can't. I mean, you're going to have shooting in the streets and gunfights and murders. Oh, you mean like the Islamic Terrorist did today? So, France, question. How's that free fire zone working out for you? That's the point of this video. How is it working out for you? Now, no doubt, I've done videos like this before. I did one on the Aurora, Colorado shooting. And some idiots show up and they go, well, if a civilian has a gun, it's just going to make the situation worse. How do you think a civilian is going to stop that shooting? I'll tell you how it's going to help. by putting more fire on those guys. You think that they're not going to go on the defensive when they have to answer to another gunman that's putting rounds on them? Maybe it is a civilian. Not in France, but let's take it back stateside. The dude Nick Mell in Clackamas, Oregon. He stopped that shooter, Jacob Roberts, with his Glock 22. He was in a mall. Jacob Roberts decides he's just going to kill some people that day. Civilian concealed carry permit holder Nick Mell goes, not today, not on my watch. He pulls a gun, doesn't shoot the guy, points it right at him. The guy goes, if my memory serves, goes behind like a column in the mall and shoots himself. He kills himself. The murderer did. Mass shooter. You didn't hear much about that incident, did you? Because it does not play into the narrative of the protectionist who doesn't want you to have guns. As this will be played down. Because this, again, just illustrates how gun control doesn't work and how free fire zones do not work. I mean, the EU is held up as a banner, is it not, to us? Like, you need to be more civilized. You need to be more like the European Union, United States. I'll be the first to admit, as Americans, we have a lot of faults. I think we're ignorant overall about world events, about pretty much everything. We're not so smart about a lot of things in the world. But one of our faults is not that we're armed. And yet the progressives will go, well, that is a problem. Again, the government and the law enforcement agencies, those are the only ones that need to be armed. Thank you very much. Again, by you being armed, you present more problems to rule of law. So it's the complete opposite of the truth. And it is a lie. So again, going back to that critic, he goes, well, and in the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting, I read one comment. This tool was saying, yeah, you would just cause more problems. No, you wouldn't have. If you're a good shooter, you can put some rounds on that guy. Maybe you get him, maybe you don't, but you save lives in the process because now he's going to concentrate on you. You might get killed. There's no guarantees. Let's just in a fantasy world say in France today, when those two gunmen go out shooting people, that they did have concealed carry. That there was a civilian there to help that police officer, who, by the way, was executed on the sidewalk with his hands up. So my understanding is that Charlie Hebdo paper had some police officers, they were expecting attacks, and yet they were still aced. But it's not what you think. Some people go, well, there you go. Police weren't even able to save them. Dude, anybody can get ambushed. You cannot be on your guard 24/7. If someone wants you dead, you're going to be dead. It's that simple. But the fly in the ointment, the big surprise for the gunman is that he's not counting on this guy with a Glock 34. Now his whole plan changes. He's getting ready to execute that cop. Joe Citizen over here sees it, makes a judgment call. You're going to have to make a judgment call. Am I seeing what I'm seeing? Are my facts straight? You have a couple microseconds to either run away, get involved, or just freeze. That's a judgment call. I'm not going to tell you what to do one way or another. But let's say Joe Citizen, French citizen, this is again in a fantasy situation, put some rounds on that guy. Pop, 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 pop. And he's like, whoa, dude. Maybe he hits him, maybe he doesn't. It changes the whole dynamic. And if you don't think it does, you need to study force on force more. The cop probably would have been saved. Citizen dies, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he gets some good cover. Other police officers get involved in time. That guy holds it down. There's a gunfight in the streets. It changes the whole dynamic. And if people go and say, well, the police officers were on duty, they got overwhelmed, they got shot. Again, I cannot overemphasize this. The guy that's ambushing always has the advantage. It's fact. Someone is willing to kill another human being and plan and plot to do so. That person usually is going to get killed. Unless he has a team of guys watching after him. They're super vigilant. They have a rotating system. They're very unpredictable. That takes a lot of energy, a lot of resources, and a lot of time. Apparently the paper didn't have all that. They thought, hey, we'll just have these two cops. Or however many it was, how many cars were. I don't know the details completely. The gunmen just go, cool, you got those cops. I'm glad they're parked out front. We know right where they are. Okay, kind of go back to my bug out vehicle thing. I mean, don't be noticeable. They should have been undercover. from what I saw, the cops were driving, you know, regular patrol cars. I mean, just look at the bullet holes. It'd probably been better if they'd been undercover, like in that minivan I was talking about. A bread van, something that is completely nondescript. And then when the gunmen jump out and they start going in the newspaper offices, Joe Cop, who's hopefully alert, goes, time to intervene. That may have worked better. So, I don't buy for a second, and let me repeat that again, I do not buy for a second that the fact that the cops died in that situation proves that guns won't stop these terrorists. Because it was a predictable situation. It's a patrol car, it's right there. What makes it unpredictable is now you have an unknown that there may be a lot of civilians also carrying. Welcome to the United States of America. If that would have gone down in the state of Utah, I would like to think, I can't guarantee it, I would like to think there would have been some rounds fired by concealed carry permit holders. I can pretty much guarantee you there would. In that situation, when you have gunfight in the street, you have a cop getting executed on the sidewalk. You know how many concealed carry permit holders there are in the state of Utah? Look at my gear checks. There's guns everywhere. Everywhere. Women have them. Teachers have them. In the schools. Dudes, there's AR-15s in trunks. You don't see gunfights in our streets. Pretty peaceful. People are generally polite. Something goes down like that downtown, I'd get involved. Absolutely. Got to make a judgment call, and there's someone going to show up in the comments, well, I wouldn't get involved at all. You know, you don't know what's going on there. You know, that cop maybe, you know, when he gets his head blown off, you know, you don't know if your facts are straight. I shouldn't be laughing, but some of these counter arguments are so ludicrous and stupid, I got to laugh at them. Do you think any court in the world would you get involved in a mass shooting like this? So two guys somewhere in the United States come out and they start doing Hollywood bank robber style, just executing people willy-nilly. And so a concealed carry permit holder gets involved and he shoots and kills these guys. You think a court would go, hey, you shouldn't have done that. I don't advocate you do or not. You got to make your own judgment call. But I'm just saying, do you think a court would find those people, that dude, guilty of something? I highly, highly doubt it. How about Nick Mell? He wasn't charged. And I bet you that mall he was in Clackamas, Oregon, had a sign sitting on the door, don't carry your guns in this mall. For public safety, we don't like guns in here. Granted, you know, mass shooter Jacob Roberts was his name. You didn't listen to that. He's going to come in and carry his gun anyhow, like all evildoers will. Just like these two Islamic terrorists. I guess they're brothers, and there was a third. They killed one, last I heard. So they know who these guys are. They're going to get apprehended. One is well known. One has been charged and convicted years back of terrorism. But I mean, did they obey the gun laws of France? Isn't that the point? Did they go, oh, you know what, our full auto AKs, or whatever specific model of AK or variant rifle they use, I don't care. They go, hey, you know, we need to register these. We can't use, let's use something that's legal. Heck no. They go to the black market. It's what us gun owners in the U.S. have always said. Bad guys will always have guns. Whatever guns they want. If the price is right, they can get whatever they want. Hey, I want a PS90. Got it. I want an M2 Browning with 1,000 rounds. You got it. If you've got the money, you can get that gun. I don't care what gun laws you pass. And this incident in France proves it in spades. You get it? You see why this is textbook for us gun owners? And why we need to use this as a talking point? So France, totally illegal to own AKs. And yet you have two Islamic terrorists walk down in broad daylight and start executing people. And after they shoot those cops, who's going to stop them? There's no armed civilians there, I guarantee it. And to be honest, they're conditioned to be sheeple, to not intervene. And I would apply that to all of the EU. From what I know, they're not fighters. They are conditioned to be wards of the government. So if you look at the videos filmed of the Charlie Hebdo shooting, those iPhone videos, these people are hiding. They're kind of doing, and I'm not faulting them for it, but I'm going to use that and springboard off it to show how the mentality of the civilian populace in the EU is get out of the way, run, duck for cover, you know, let the cops, oh wait, the cops are executed. Okay, no one's there. Okay, just let them finish their killing spree. Hopefully it won't last too long. Okay, that guy's dead. Oh crap, they just shot 8 more. Oh my gosh, they just shot that guy too right in the face. No one's stopping them. You know, I posted a video years ago called Close to Engage after the Fort Hood massacre, I think it was. And the point is, when things get that bad and you have an active shooter scenario, what do you have to lose, dude? Especially if you're in the vicinity and you're one of the probable victims. What do you have to lose, man? Go back to Virginia Tech. You had people in those classrooms cowering and they got executed. Charge the guy. Even if you don't have a gun, overwhelm him in numbers. He can't shoot everybody. You're going to die anyhow. Charge him. There is a different mentality. I don't like the sheeple mentality. I would like to think after 9/11, here in the United States, we have it to a lesser degree, but I think it's still prevalent. I'm not advocating that, you know, everybody goes out and they go, oh my gosh, I hope there's an active shooter situation, I can intervene. That's not what I'm saying. We never want to use our guns that way. We like rule of law here in TMP. We love it. We support it. But when things go that bad and you have a gunfight in the streets, I mean, dude, make a decision. Make a decision. And I will go back to what I said earlier and really emphasize it. That unknown to any potential terrorist or active shooter that the civilian may be armed, and it could be a lot of guns, changes their whole plan. In that theater shooting video, I said, you know what, if I'm a theater owner, I would say concealed carry permit holders get $2 off, $4 off ticket price. You are welcome in my theater. Do you think an active shooter would go and look at my sign and go, this is a really good target for me? This is where I'm going to have it go down. This is where I'm going to murder innocent people. Or would he go to the theater where it says, no guns allowed? Don't come in my theater with guns even if you're a concealed carry permit holder. They are not welcome. Hey, I'm a murderer. I'll go to that theater. That's the concept I'm talking about. It played out in France today. What do they have to worry about? 2 cops where they know they are? Where they are? They're right there in front of them. What other threats do you have? They probably knew the response time for other officers to come in. But now if you've got 10, 20 citizens nearby and all of them could be packing Glocks, SIGs, it kind of changes things for me. The people who work in the newspaper, Charlie Hebdo, what if they're armed? Hey, that changes completely everything. Hey, I'm going to go and shoot those guys. Whoa, I'm taking rounds in the face. You know, from Glock 22. That changes things. So, again, the media are just going to brush this under the carpet because it is a proving concept of a free fire zone and what happens. It is a proving concept when you have a civilian populace trained, if that's the best word, to just, you know, be victims. Be victims. I'm not going to sit here either and say Charlie Hebdo was like, I don't really know much about it. It's a satirical newspaper. It was very critical of Islam and it ran some, you know, to Islamists, some very offensive cartoons. It's their right, man. You know, someone rolls in the comments and go, well, they should, and Obama actually said this. Yeah, President Obama actually said this. He did it through his press secretary, but the talking point for today's press conference was, well, we were very, we did not support them putting what they did in that cartoon. They should have thought it through before they published it, is what they said. To me, when I hear that, it kind of smacks of, if you say something offensive enough to someone else, it's okay if that person who is offended goes and murders the other person. Isn't that what you're saying? Yeah, I remember. He goes, we were disappointed in the lack of judgment shown in the publication from Charlie Hebdo. They had a long history of this, you know? I'm not going to jump into politics, but we're kind of talking about freedom to own your guns and freedom of speech now. I don't know. I saw a couple of their cartoons and I thought, yeah, they're kind of off color. Would I read it? Nope. I wouldn't. But if you're saying, hey dudes, you know, it's okay to go shoot someone if they've offended you enough, we've got a big problem with the rule of law. Because as soon as you go down that road, then it's like, it's a free-for-all. And that's the problem that France is going to grapple with already. And these Islamic attacks, this is not the first one. They are growing in number because the Islamists are going, hey, don't come over to the desert to fight. You just fight wherever you are. Fight in position. Do what these guys did in France. Break out the AKs. Just start shooting people. It's better if you can target someone like a newspaper who is critical to our religion, to our cause. Then it makes a better statement. But, you know, it's a Westerner. Fights on. Free for all. No bag limit. Go for it. Will these events become more prevalent in the U.S.? Can you imagine this? You're downtown Philadelphia and you see the same thing. Maybe it's 10 Islamists. Heavily armed. Just like these guys were. They had LBE on. They had masks. They seem like, from the video I saw, they knew how to shoot. You know, probably they've trained somehow. So 10 guys jump out in Philadelphia and start killing everybody. Hey, Philly, you got a concealed carry permit capability down there? You arming your civilians as a backup to something like that? I never get it, too, when I post a video like this, the guys will just go, even gun guys, and this just infuriates me. They'll go, well, I wouldn't get involved. You know, and I don't think you should get involved either. And anybody who says you would get involved in an active shooter situation is a fool. I expect you TMPers to just, you know, own that guy in the comments, because I totally disagree with that. You have people getting murdered, executed on the sidewalk, and you're not going to get involved. You're across the street. It's your choice. You do what you want to do, I'll do what I want to do, okay? And we'll see who's vindicated. Don't look forward to it. I dread it. I hope it never happens. But I'd much rather have this news story play. Hey, gunmen came out in Philadelphia. They killed 12 people. But they were engaged by both police officers. Well, let's clear the situation up, and I'll tell you why here in a second. Police officers were killed in the confrontation. Concealed carry permit holder put rounds on these guys. He was killed in the process. Let's assume worst case. But the shooters fled. He saved lives, in other words. What I was going to say, and I've said this in other videos, is you've got to be super, super careful that if you do have police there and they are doing their job, get out of their way. I'm not saying you just say, da-da-da, I'm going to help you cops out with this active shooter situation. Why? Because they think you're a bad guy. They're going to ace you. Don't do it. That is the biggest problem. ID. You off-duty cops, you off-duty LEs, you should have your creds with you at all times. You should have a way to identify yourself. There may be an appropriate time to do that. There may be an inappropriate time to do it. You could just end up getting shot yourself. Again, what I said at the outset, you have to exercise really good judgment. But let's go back what happened in France. That's a great situation where, okay, all options are exhausted. Maybe I'll get involved here. Cops are down. They're dead. I saw them executed. They're continuing to shoot. You know, hey! They turn and look at you. Pop, 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 pop. They're going to put rounds on you, dude. Seek cover. But that time you're buying is allowing other people to come. As soon as you see cops, dude, and they're out, you better put your gun down, and because they don't know if you're a good guy or bad guy. That is an element. I'm acknowledging it. It's a very difficult element to address. We've had undercover police officers get killed when responding officers think they're the bad guys. Like, well, there's a guy right there. He's got the gun. Pat, cap, 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 dead. It's out there. I think the real advantage, though, is just having it in place. Guns in place, and have it publicly known. Islamists, you know, the Islamic terrorists, they go, hey, let's go attack Florida. Hey, wait a minute. Florida's got concealed carry. There's a lot of guns down in Florida. We could get shot up pretty good if we got down there. Well, let's go somewhere else. New York City. Kind of like that. It's a security blanket. Make it well known, just like my theater example I was giving you, and it's a deterrent. President Hollande, French president, I guess, we are a country of liberty, is what he said. Are you really? I mean, from what I hear, you know, the country is coming together. They're having these rallies. They say, we are not afraid. They're going to stand up against the threat of more terrorist attacks. I admire that. But if you're not armed, isn't it kind of hollow? I would feel a lot better if I saw a bunch of AKs, AR-15s off the French citizens going, hey, we're not afraid. I guarantee you, and these are probably in-country terrorists. These are French nationals, I suspect. French and Arabic-speaking French nationals. They'd go, France isn't a good country to go do this in. Again, there's that concept. Free fire zones, we see again in this example, don't work. They don't work. That what they do is create an environment where these guys can shoot people with impunity. And when you are dumb enough to loudly position your police officers in a way that they are recognizable and easily sniped, as if my facts are correct, in this situation they were, that doesn't help much. Better yet, arm the newspaper people. Hey, shots being fired. Remember that example I told you I was at Fairchild Air Force Base when Dean Melberg, I think, with his MAC 90 shot people at the Fairchild Air Force Base Hospital in Spokane, Washington, 1994. You know, I talked to Isaacson, the flight surgeon, the day after the hospital opened. And Isaacson, to my face, here I am, a pilot coming off DNIF, that's duties not including flying, that's coming back to flying status. He was a big anti-gun guy, hated guns. Hated the fact that Dean ever had that MAC 90. He went on and on to me, and I didn't say anything. I just shut my mouth. I'm a freaking first lieutenant. He's a lieutenant colonel. He goes, yeah, we should never have those guns. You know, that would never happen. I'm sitting there, okay, well, and actually we should have those guns. And if another gun like that had been around, we'd have stopped them. Then he says this. He goes, but if I'd had a gun when he went down the hallway, I would have shot him. And I could have saved all those people that end up getting shot after that. I'm like, isn't that just typical of liberal philosophy? They go, you know, they go, well, we hate guns. However, when it's their life at risk, they go, I need a gun. Now, if you goes, well, I'm a liberal, I'm pro-gun. Come on, man. I hate that comment too. Like, don't act like the liberal philosophy is pro-gun. They're not. You know, Al Franken, is he pro-gun on any level? No. That's what I'm talking about. You want to stop this. It's not going to be feeling good and these stupid laws, holding hands, you know, candlelight vigils. That doesn't matter. Force on force matters. If you want to stop this, have force in place at your disposal immediately. And that will circumvent these mass shootings by Islamic terrorists, by madmen, whatever. It will nullify and just destroy a free fire zone. Why that is not publicly accepted mystifies us gun owners, doesn't it? But it's not part of the agenda. The progressive agenda, the liberal agenda, the communist agenda. They don't want to arm the people. They want to disarm the people. Because a disarmed populace is controllable. We can have our way with you. We want to tax you more. We want to control you. We're going to control your movements. We're going to do checkpoints. Welcome to 1984. Kind of like that. They don't like that. And more importantly, they don't trust their people. You know, if you were to go to the French president and go, we need to pass concealed carry in France, they're going, oh, no way. We're not going to trust our citizens with guns, carrying them in the streets. The same thing they said when the first concealed carry state, Florida, did it. Gunfights in the street, blah, 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 all that stuff. That never happened. That's what it is. They'll say the law enforcement can protect you. The military will protect you. You don't need a gun. Just like they protected the newspaper in France. Like that? Is that how they're going to protect us? How did rule of law look on those streets today, dude? How did your free fire zone serve rule of law today, France? What's the answer? I mean, you meet with your relatives, your friends, ask them these questions. If they're anti-gun, so well, what about France? You know, say, how did that work for them? They're very anti-gun, and I think they are. You know, it's very regulated. They can't have concealed carry. Ask them that. Say, hey, you know, uncle, whoever, would you have advocated a citizen being across the street armed with a Glock 34? 2 cops go down, maybe it's 3, I don't know the number exactly. They're executed. Would you advocate him getting involved? Or would you prefer he just runs away with his gun while shots ring out from within the newspaper office as more people are killed? I think the editor was killed, the cartoonist was killed, they're executed. And they did exactly what they wanted to do. The terrorists did. They created more terror. And Obama's playing right into their hands. He says, hey, you exercise bad judgment in publishing that cartoon. Don't do it in the future. What? What? So you're not really... They are critical of the gunmen. I'm not saying that. But the side message is, don't do things that piss people off. You know, these terrorists, just step quietly through the political correctness pathway. Don't ever veer off of it, and then you won't have to worry about this. Kind of like Chamberlain said, you know, with the Nazis. Let's this will lead to peace if we just follow this little narrow slit of a pathway and we'll be fine. And that doesn't work. Yeah, the condition of the people is to accept this. Nothing's going to change in France. I absolutely am confident of that. But I don't live in France. I live in the United States, and we have guns. You know, the riots in the UK, yeah, there's a lot of communities in the United States. We wouldn't put up with that. You come through a community, start firebombing our businesses, our houses, you're going to have hell to pay. It's just the way it is. You know, there's some communities down south, out in the western U.S., the police goes down, they're overwhelmed, they're all killed off, whatever. There's going to be citizens step up and just take care of things. It's just the way it is. I'm not saying in a vigilante way, but they will maintain rule of law. You have roving bands coming through saying, hey, we're going to have our way here. They're going to say, no, you're not. And rule of law will be established just like it was at the foundation of this country. Government will come back up, police will come back up, and they'll go, okay, cool, you guys got it from here. But the ultimate safeguard is the citizenry. You have to trust them with guns. I think it serves the public good. Don't you? Don't you think it would have served the public good in France? Don't you think it may have saved a life or two? And let's just say that whole situation, I'm going to end here in a sec, but let's say that whole situation just went to crap. Guy across the street in the fantasy situation example I'm giving you, breaks out the Glock 34, shoot, he misses every round, he gets shot. They go out and they kill the people anyhow. That still to me is a win. Why? Because then the next attackers go, there were other guns we didn't count on. Maybe we don't go to France next time. See what I'm saying? And don't discount that. Don't go, oh, we can handle those. They want the least path of resistance. I'm talking about terrorists, from what I know. They want to be in control. They want to have the firepower. They want to be in and out. Look at the video, how calm these guys were. They were so confident, they're like, no one's here to shoot at us. We know the citizens are going to be cowering behind their walls. They're not going to shoot at us. What I was talking about earlier. Got nothing to worry about. Hey, what? Change the radio station. Let's get out of here and go get a different car. That's exactly what they did. Jumped in that car, got out, got in a Renault Clio, bugged out again, totally made out. They found out with, you know, they caught up with him. But, I mean, they were pretty confident. They were acting, you know, just like it was another walk in the park for them. You know, this starts cooking off in the United States, and we have attacks like this, terrorist attacks. You know, I hope, I pray that one day, if it happens, concealed carry permit holders step up to the plate, end it. And I'm talking if there's no LE around, very important, or LE has been overwhelmed, or they're dead, or gone, or missing. That's very important. Let cops do their jobs, man. I support police officers, man. I have some mini gripes with them, you know, stupid speed traps and harassment. But the big issue is they keep our society safe. They are the sheepdogs of society, and if you think otherwise, you need to go and live in a place that has no rule of law, has no functioning police officers. Then talk to me. You know, then you'll go, I kind of like cops. Kind of like knowing that I don't have to worry about my life when I step outside my door. Kind of like that. So, France, I feel bad that had to happen to you. You know, maybe you should revisit your gun laws. You know, vigils won't solve this problem. Force on force solves it. That's just how I see it. Nutnfancy Project. See ya.